Hello, beautiful souls. Happy Friday. Um, so this week we've been talking about inherited patterns, the beliefs, um, fears, emotional responses, patterns that sometimes travel through generations. So today I want to ask a simple question for the collective. What are we ready to release? What are we ready to release? And I have a couple of decks here um, to do a little reading. See what we are ready to release because I am part of the collective, right? I sure hope so. All right. What are we ready to release from the middle? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because there's some things here to release and there's some things here to embody, which I think is just perfect. And then there is another kind of like piece of the puzzle, right? For us to put it together and to understand the message. Um, so this deck is The Tree of Life by David Wells. And the card that the first card that I got is um where we see the tree of life. So it represents, like our family tree, right? That is what is telling me is the family tree. So it's is the generations before us, is us, and is the generations after us, right? Because we're right here in the middle. So there's on top of us and there's after us. And it says soul triangle, right? So there's some mystical soul-led harmony that brings us all together. Also, love, right? Because love is what unify us. Because there's our family tree or soul triangle, right? But that is embedded in everybody else's family tree because we are one, right? At the end of the day. And then what we need to release is the tower. Is the and if you know anything about tarot, the tower is those moments where our life is shaken up, right? Something important happens, something no the day to day I've had a bad day is something that is transformative, but usually in a not the most um what am I trying to say? Um Pleasant way. Okay, not the most pleasant way, right? Is that divorce, is when we get fired, is um something. pretty dramatic that happens in our life when we file for bankruptcy, right? When we get evicted, things like that. And it doesn't have to be negative. It's just unpleasant. There has to be a part that is really difficult. So it could be moving to a different country or moving houses across country, right? Um, and it could be something really good, but the process is difficult, right? So it doesn't have to be, I lost something, I lost my job, I lost my home, I lost my marriage. It doesn't have to be that, but it has to be something that shake us up. And at the end of the process, the transformation for our lives is so great that we look back and we go like, oh, that's the best thing that could have happened to me. Even though while it's happening, sucks big time, right? And when I'm reading tarot, I tell people it's like cleaning your closet, right? You're like, this is a mess. I need to clean it up. And you empty everything, and all of a sudden it's chaos. And you're like, what have I done? But then you're like, okay, I need to clear it up because I can't leave with this, right? So you start putting up your piles, your goodwill pile and your trash pile and your keep pile, right? And you start working, and all of a sudden you put your goodwill pile in the car, and then you put the trash by the curb, and you refold, you wash whatever needs to wash, and you refold everything, and you organize, and all of a sudden you're done, and you're like, so nice. I should have done this months ago, right? But in the middle of it is chaotic. So that's a tower moment, okay? The end is like wonderful. It's like, I want to live here. That was not better than this, but the process to get here, chaos, right? But then, so something has shaken us up, right, in our lives. And we need to completely let that go. Okay. So if we still have resentment over that boss that fired us, or the ex that left us, or the airline that lost some of our luggage, or that box with my tarot cards that didn't make it to the next country. We need to let it go. There's some part of that process that we're still holding on to with anger, with resentment, that we need to let it go, because that is keeping us from going to the other side, which is the path to the highest priestess. And what is the highest priestess in tarot? The highest priestess is illumination, is knowledge, is wisdom, is that incredible connection with spirit, is your intuition just flowing, right? So again, holding on to whatever happened to us in that tower moment is keeping us from getting here. Okay. Now I had that was an incredible message on its own, but I had put out this other deck, so I want to read it. What are we ready to release? What are we ready to release? In the middle. Wow. We got two archangels here. Wow. Thank you guys. Okay. So I was gonna say, there was also the energy of the death card, right? Which is transformation, is that big transformation that we're talking about, right? So that was for me as a reader confirmation that what I was saying is what the reading meant for me to read, right? That is that incredible transformation that you just cannot go back, right? Like a butterfly. It starts as an animal and it turns out as another animal. You cannot, after the butterfly becomes a butterfly, it cannot go back to the caterpillar. So we have two of my faves, and I can say that because they don't get mad. We have Raphael, Archangel Raphael, and Archangel Raphael, and he looks like, what's his name? Oh my God. That guy from the 80s that did exercises and was very like feminine. I'm blacking out. That did exercises on television. Um, I'll show you. It looks just like him. I know some of you are gonna remember and tell me in the comments. Anyhow, Archangel Raphael talks about healing, right? Talks about love and healing and miracles. Well, it's an archangel, right? But Raphael is all about healing, right? So there's this healing element of letting go of that resentment or that anger, that whatever lower energy that we're keeping from this moment is gonna heal us, right? Heal us to um to take us to that path of the high priestess, right? That enlightenment. And then we also have Archangel Metatron, which is so wise and understanding. And Archangel Metatron, I always understood, and of course I couldn't look it up before because I didn't know he was going to come up. I always understood that he was the only one that was a human, right? Um, and he is so tall that he can stand on earth, but he's so tall that he can reach God, right? And he is the messenger from us humans directly to God because he's so tall and he's just standing. And it's that dichotomy that I think that we as spiritual people trying to achieve, right? That balance is being on one foot on the earth and one foot in the spiritual realm. But then I heard somebody say that it was my brain, his brother. He has a brother at Metatron. He has a twin brother. This is gonna bother me like a lot. Mm. Okay, so I Googled it, right? Like any normal person would do. And um, Metatron's brother is Sandalphon. Sandalphon. And um, is widely regarded as twin brother of Metatron, and both are believed to once have been human prophets. Uh, before ascending to angelic form. Metatron is traditionally linked to Enoch, and Sandalphon to Elijah. And um, Sandalphon is described as extraordinary tall in some traditions. His head reaches heaven, which is what I was talking about. So, yes. So is Sandalphon his twin brother who can reach God. But it's still the same message, right? Because Metatron can really understand us because he was human, right? He was Enoch. And he can take messages to God in a way that nobody else, except Sandalphon, that nobody else can because he gets it, right? He gets who we are because he was one of us, right? And then the other thing that came through, which I said at the beginning, was that the one thing that unite all of us is love. And then love came through here, right? So one of the things that we may need to let go of is feeling lonely because we're always supported. And that is kind of hard, right? Because when we feel lonely, we feel lonely. But which alone doesn't mean lonely, right? There's people that are in the middle of a room full of people and they're around people all the time and feel lonely. Okay. But if there's gonna be an incredible transformation, is when we learn to be with ourselves, to be our own company. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Especially because the moment that we understand that we are enough, we don't need external validation, right? When we don't need external validation, we can be our best friend and we can be all for ourselves. And we still need people. Humans came, to Earth to be with people. It's not that you can be a hermit in the middle of the mountains. I mean, if that's your vibe, but humans need human contact. Okay. Um, but we need to learn that we can be enough for ourselves, not needing outside validation. I think that's a beautiful message um, of what we need to release as a collective. Of course, there's gonna be um, independent messages for everybody, for each and one of us, of course. Um, but that's the message for the collective. That's what we need to release, right? So before before you continue with your day, with your beautiful Friday, um I would like to ask you to close your eyes and just for 1 minute, take a deep breath. I like to tell my students, and I do myself, to put one hand in my heart and one hand in my solar plexus and take a deep breath, and take that breath all the way down to your solar plexus, to your root chakra, all the way down. Release, kind of relax, and ask yourself, what am I finally ready to stop carrying? And don't force it. Just just be quiet, just be present with yourself. So simply listen, because sometimes the first whisper is the one that your soul has been waiting for. And if you're so cold too, let me know what you get in the comments. All right. I'll see you next week.